And it says we are alive here. Welcome to today's conversation on women leadership across cultures. As we explore this vital topic, it's essential to reflect on how far women have come in leadership roles globally, particularly in the United States. In the recent, obviously, last night's presidential debate, we witnessed for the second time in history, in the US history, a woman running for the highest office in the nation. This moment is both refreshing and reassuring, symbolizing the significant stride women have made in leadership, not only in politics, but in business, education, and beyond. Today, we are joined by two remarkable women who exemplify this leadership journey. We have Lindse Murphy. She is the executive director, I will say, Florida executive director of Women's Edge. And we have Anisa Crespo, co-founder, right, Anisa?
Correct.
Co-founder of the Million Dollar Mom Society. They will share their insights on women leadership, the challenges they've overcome, and how their work is shaping the future for women across industries. Alongside my co-host Maria. Hi, Maria. She's in Mexico right now on Global Gals, where we empower businesses and their teams to excel in working across cultural boundaries. So we will explore how different leadership models, particularly the American one, impact women globally. And then we'll speak about our guests. How are they doing it? And what is it that they're working on to better the lives of others, especially women here in the United States? So we look forward to an enriching discussion. But before I came on, I remembered that today was or is September 11th. As we sit together in reflection, we honor the lives lost on September 11, 2001. We do remember the bravery and sacrifices made. And we take this moment of silence. I will ask for 30 seconds of moment of silence to unite in remembrance, resilience, and hope for a more peaceful world. Okay. Thank you, ladies. All right. Are we ready? Just as a reminder here, we don't rehearse, we don't ask our guests on any particular, we don't ask them what to say or anything. We just don't rehearse. We come in here, have a great time, discuss our thoughts, and any statements basically is our own opinion based on our own experiences. So, good afternoon, ladies. And I'm going to ask you to go ahead and introduce yourselves again and say a little bit about yourself. That way, our audience across several platforms can know more about you. Why don't you go ahead and start, Lindse?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mona and Maria. I'm really excited to be here joining with Anisa. I'm Lindse Murphy. I live in Central Florida in the Orlando area. Recently accepted a position with a dynamic nonprofit called the Women's Edge, and I am the executive director for the state of Florida and that chapter. My background really spans 20 plus years across mental and behavioral health. I started out as a clinician. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and I was privileged to work across every age range from birth to end of life, and just fell in love with people and human connection, what motivates people to thrive even when they have odds stacked against them. And so I went into a leadership path and was blessed to be able to be trained by two executive world class programs, and went on to be an executive in running hospitals for inpatient and outpatient settings. And then I still had this itch and this desire to make an impact across communities, and as widespread as I could. And so I took a leap of faith and I jumped into an economic development organization to learn about ecosystems and how businesses, from startups and mom and pop businesses to enterprises, all work together collectively, public and private. And from there, I found a love. Again, I was drawn towards people, and I was really, really passionate about connecting with women and women led or women inspired organizations. And that really dropped this opportunity in my lap to take over this organization here across the state. So I've been in my role about 60 days and feel like I can bring my expertise in behavioral and mental health, especially now with the way the world needs everything from personal well-being to corporate wellness, but also as a woman who comes from a trauma background and have lived experience, to now motivate and inspire future generations and women that I can come alongside and encourage. And so I'm grateful to be here. And again, thank you, ladies.
Well, thank you so much. We're so happy to have you, Lindsay. Why don't we go ahead now and ask Anisa?
Hey, ladies, thank you so much for inviting me on today. I'm super excited to be here. Nice to connect with all of you. So I am Anisa Crespo, the co-founder of Million Dollar Mom Society, along with my beautiful partner, Natasha Navarro. And the way that company was formed, we were both kind of in the space of helping women, and we were helping the same type of women, moms, with some coaching, and we had both built these successful businesses. And we come from a place of collaboration over competition. And we came together and we were just like, well, how can we get together and build something even greater and do something amazing together? So that's what we're doing. We share the same goals, the same dreams, the same mission of helping other moms like ourselves to understand that they can have their passion projects and be a mother, a wife, whatever role they have in their life, all at the same time. They don't have to make a choice, and they can thrive in all areas of their lives. And I came from a male-dominated industry. For over 10 years, I worked for a wonderful company, a wonderful boss, really enjoyed the people I worked with, the clients I worked with. But after all that time, it just was not setting my soul on fire anymore. And similarly to Lindsay, having been through a lot of trauma in my life, spanning from childhood all the way into adulthood, overcoming so many different obstacles, and just wanting to share my message with the world in a greater effort to help other women, I decided that I was going to let that job go and bet on myself, bet on my business, go all in on it. And that's exactly what I did. And here I am today, and I am living out my dream life. I am helping and inspiring other women, and that is all that I want to do. And I absolutely love doing it.
Anisa, can I ask you a question?
Please.
This really resonates with me, having a daughter who has just had 2 children, who's feeling inadequate. She's a millennial, and all her life it's kind of been, the message obviously has resonated a little more, that you are whatever your job is. She's enjoying her motherhood tremendously, but has these mixed feelings that she's not living out to her potential as far as being, the professional part. Now, I did read a statistic that in 2022, women made almost half of the new business owners. And I have read that the reason for that is the need for more flexibility in your life, because ultimately women do take on more of the domestic role. Let's just be honest about that most of the time. So what could you tell us as far as your observations of this phenomenon, and how would you respond to someone's like, how am I going to start a new business with two little toddlers under the age of 3, or 2 kids under the age of 3?
Yeah, well, I think anybody who has the bravery and the courage to start a business, I commend them. It's not easy. It's not easy if you don't have children. And then when you do have children and you are doing all the domestic tasks on top of that, like the dishes, the laundry, the child rearing, and everything in between, it just makes it that much harder. But it's not impossible. And you have to really manage your time. You have to schedule things accordingly. I schedule almost everything in my life. I schedule just about everything in my life. And it has to be on my calendar, and I make time for it. I make room for it, especially self-care. I think a lot of women lose that and they don't schedule time for that. And we have all these tasks, right? Like our to-do lists are never, ever done. I know mine is not, but we have to take all of our big tasks and then break them down into little tasks and then prioritize them. Like every single day, I have my huge to-do list, and then I have my top 5 non-negotiables. These things have to get done today. Like no matter what, they have to get done. And if you carry something over into the next day, that's fine. For a long time, I was in a space where it was like, if you left at a certain time or you didn't finish the job, it was kind of like frowned upon. And it's okay. It's okay to, put things off until tomorrow, providing the work is actually done. And I think that, what you were saying about women now, especially post-COVID, realizing that we can do this hybrid business sort of thing, and we can work from home and manage it all. Like we don't need to be in an office between 9 to 5. Like we just don't. I personally wake up at 4 a.m. and get a ton of things done before my children even wake up. And, the flexibility to do that is so paramount when you're running a business, or even if you're in someone else's employ. Like, I think that flexibility should be afforded to more women in companies, and it will give them the capability to excel even further and obtain some leadership roles.
Excellent. I am going to take you back, because obviously today's topic for our viewers is leadership, women leadership across cultures, and we are focusing we're focusing on the American model. And recently I had bought this book right here. Can you see it? Women, okay. It says Women Across Culture, Global Perspectives. And I started reading it. I have not finished it, but it just started. And when we thought about, hey, why don't we speak about the women leadership and talk about what you ladies are doing on that subject. And then I said, this is interesting. And then there's a quote here that I just started reading, and it caught my eye. And I'm reading off the book right here. It says, men and women live on a stage on which they act out their assigned roles. Equal in importance, the play cannot go on without both performance. Neither of them contributes more or less to the whole. Neither is marginal or dispensable. But the stage set is conceived, painted, and defined by men. Men have written the play, have directed the show, assigned themselves the most interesting, most heroic parts. And this is a quote from Gerdo Lerner. So as I read this, I contemplated a bit on it. Yes, we do. And by all means, anybody watching, I'm not feminist. I am a woman and care about women's affair. And I do understand what women go through, not just here in the United States, but around the world. And I said, okay, well, we have come so far. We have achieved so much. And yes, our roles for both men and women are as important. Yes, we may have the right or the same rights, the same obligations, the same duties, but we do have different functions. Okay, just the way it is. And then I asked to myself, okay, where are we now in the United States? Do we have matriarchy or patriarchy? What do you see out there? Anyone can take this question and answer it. I mean, I've been self-employed and been in business for my own for about 23 years. So I go out and do what I have to do, and I left corporate America quite a long time ago. What I saw back then may have changed today. Yes, we do have a lot of leadership role occupied by men, but living everyday's life and going out there to seek out or climb the ladder, what do you see in society today? Is it?
I don't think you have a binary. I think that we've come a long way. I could tell you, as a woman who started a business in a country other than my own, here in Mexico, I didn't find, even though it's a more traditional society where there still is a little bit of the machismo, I found that I had opportunities that opened for me. I don't think it's either a matriarchy or a patriarchy, even though you have certain tendencies. But I think that ultimately what people want is value. And if you can offer value, I don't really think, unless there's, a big a bias, a huge thing where it's taboo for women to work in society. I haven't found it in the US. I haven't found it in Mexico. I know that some women, I have a sister who worked in a very male dominated industry, and she would run into a few stumbling blocks here and there, but ultimately she was really good at what she did, and she managed to get herself promoted. Might have taken her a little longer, but she did. I'd love to hear what you think, Lindsay. I see you nodding along. So
Yes.
This is such a complex question and answer. But two things that came to my mind in this. Number one is I love the quote that you shared, Mona, about the stage and the play. I do think that paints a really realistic picture. But what we're finding is a shift from playing a role, right, where we're almost putting on a mask in our society to fit a stereotype, to be successful, to people are really appreciating authenticity no matter the gender. And so that makes me very hopeful for the direction we're headed. However, the second thought is, what are the US statistics and the data really showing us right now from a organizational business standpoint? And what I'd like to share is, when you think about men versus women, and we'll just use the example of the workforce. So when men and women enter the workforce, they enter at the same rate. They come in really about 47 to 48%. And then as they move through their journey, through promotions, for whatever reason, whether there's more opportunity or women now have to take on the matriarchal roles and have to tend to the family, right, and can't take the next opportunity, what we see is that men skyrocket to the C-suite at an astronomical rate compared to women. And that is still the reality today. So when you get to a vice president role and then the C-level, your CEOs, CFOs, COOs, it is 75% still men in those positions compared to about 25% women, and even less are women of color. So that tells us where the world, let's say where the North America is in regards to workplace. But I still believe there is a yearning and a desire for authenticity to be what creates more opportunity.
I think authenticity is a little overrated, frankly. But but just taking what you're saying, Lindsay, studies show, I think there was one in 2003 and 2011 that shows that as women climb higher in the leadership ladder, their styles tend to align more with those traditionally masculine traits, especially when you look at the US. US, it's more task versus relationship oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, they used to call it more feminine versus masculine styles, where the feminine is more the collaborative, trying to get, people through persuasion, and the masculines are more assertive, competitive, decisive. But it's very interesting to see, and probably because of what you say, there are things in our lives that we can't deny. If we want to be moms, I know that Sheryl Sandberg said lean in and all that, but then everyone's like, yeah, we don't have nannies, right? So the thing is, there's choices that sometimes we have to make as women, and we can't have everything at the same time. Well, I know, Anisa, you say, but we have to, like, again, it's like you got to get up at 4 a.m. You can't get up at 7 if you want to be able to do all of these things. There's a little bit of that element of sacrifice. So what do we do about that? Are we, if you want to get to that high level, there's going to be sacrifices that have to be made that are not required of men, just because of the way things are. Is it fair? Probably not, but it's reality. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents. So I'll open it to you, Anisa, since I talked about you.
Anisa, do you have anything to say on this?
Yeah, I agree with you also about taking on those certain type of roles. I know for myself, it was a constant battle of trying to balance being assertive but not aggressive, to make sure that my voice was heard, but not necessarily considered, over emotional. Let's call it that. Right. And I think that a lot of people think that women can't be in leadership roles because they're emotional. And I think that people are confusing emotion with empathy. I mean, women make fantastic leaders because of their empathy and their emotional intelligence. And I think that really gets overlooked a lot of the time because, we have all of these societal norms that we've been used to for so long. And it says that, women are best suited in the home and in their domestic roles. And I also, like Mona, I'm not a feminist. I'm just a human. And
Yeah.
I agree that, sometimes we have to separate the women empowerment movement from the male bashing movement, because I'm not a fan of the male bashing movement. I think that there is a very important place for men in our society. And I think now more than ever, we need to be uplifting them and empowering them just as much as we're empowering one another as women.
Agreed. Totally.
I agree. And yesterday, obviously, there has been a lot of talk this morning about yesterday's debate where we had many Americans have watched the debate between Trump and Ms. Harris. And this is the second time where I've seen a woman seeking to become a president of the United States. And I'm asking myself, why did it take this long? And looking at other countries, I mean, several countries had their women president, even in Liberia in Africa and other parts in Africa, they had women presidents, and Lithuania and many other countries. Why this long in the United States, given the fact that the United States is hegemon, superpower of the world, and we consider, or everybody considers the United States to be the leader of the world, where there is equity, equality, and all these terms that we've been hearing in the recent years. Why this long?
I don't like to get into politics, but remember that the United States has so many moving parts in our political system. So many. I remember back in the day when Geraldine Ferraro was running for vice president and all that. I think there are just so many moving parts, so many big blocks of interests that determine who the candidates are going to be in the end. I would hesitate to say, oh, it's because our system is so sexist and unfair. to be honest,
Mhm.
I would say. So I think it just depends on who the players are and who's who and who's moving and shaking things more than
Yeah.
anything else. I would venture to say.
Yeah, and we don't want to turn it into political debate here because that's not our interest at all. But this is a remark that anybody outside of the United States would ask or would say, okay, why haven't you had a woman president so far? What's happening there? And a lot of people don't understand the intricacies of the American political system. So we are just mentioning this to get opinions here of our guests to think, okay, whatever is faced for us not to see a woman president might be the same challenges faced by regular women in the corporate world. Don't you don't you agree? And if there these are the challenges we see, or if there are a lot of challenges, what are the challenges? And that's what we will go on to talk about. What are you seeing as challenges for women to climb the ladder, to become a leader? And so often we see, just during the pandemic, a lot of women leaders around the world have demonstrated superb skills in leading their nation through the pandemic. So, as women or as a woman, we do have what it takes to take charge and take care of business and do marvelous things. However, maybe, I'm not sure, there is something lacking. What is it?
That's a good question, and I don't necessarily have the answer to the question, but it kind of makes me think about a few things. Like when you're talking about matriarchy, I think right in the home we have matriarchal systems that nobody really talks about. I know I'm the queen of my castle, and sometimes we'll have a salesman knock on the door and they'll say, "Is the man of the house home?" And I said, "You're speaking to her," because you could talk to my husband, but he's going to have to check with me, right? So even when it comes to the children, it's like I took my twins to the pediatrician this morning. My husband could certainly shuffle them off to the doctor, but is he going to be able to answer the questions? Probably not. He might have to make a phone call or shoot a text message. And I think that even when you're thinking about sometimes these C-suite executives or CEOs or whoever, a lot of times they are organized by a woman. Their whole entire schedule, their whole entire business world is organized by an administrative assistant who's really behind the scenes running the show. So whoever's in the leadership role, it's fine, but who's actually pulling the strings?
Yeah, you make a really good point.
But thank you so much for saying that. Before Lindsay, before you say, I know you have a lot to say. This reminds me of a workshop I was conducting on women in the Middle East, and I just had to explain to them. And a lot of obviously a lot of people here in the U.S. they think that women don't have power in that part of the world. But I tell them, look, okay, here is the head. And what moves the head? The neck, right? Well, the women there are the neck. They're moving things around. You may not see them out there in the field, but in the background, they're running the show. So go ahead, Lindsay. You can go. You can elaborate on this.
No, I just, I think Anisa makes a really great point about the wizard behind the curtain. And, I think if in life, if people were given more credit, right? The people who really do hold us up, help us look good, create this persona, right? That gets the respect and the votes for whatever the reason. I think that is a really good point. And I also think it's about having allyship. So young men who come into an industry usually are handpicked to be groomed to have these opportunities and investments poured into them so that they learn how to negotiate, right? And have critical conversations and play the role that they're supposed to play as a leader. And so you see them adapt quicker because they have the opportunity faster, and they have somebody who says, this is maybe my future successor, or this is like my little brother that I want to mentor and guide through life. And women, I think we all desire to be that for another woman, but we don't get that same level of opportunity in our early teens and early 20s. And so we are kind of, you know, we're trying to be invested in ourselves so that we can then pour back into someone else. It doesn't happen as quick. It doesn't happen as often. It doesn't happen with the same level of opportunity. And I think that's why there continues to be this divide in those who soar to the top and those who get really close, but just need a little bit more help. Or bam, here comes life. And because you're the woman, you're going to take on these additional responsibilities, and they're going to get additional opportunities.
I can tell you there's some companies that are doing a great job. I just recently went to one of my big clients, a telecommunications company. They have a wonderful mentor-mentee program for young women, early career professionals. There's a few Fortune 500s who are working pretty well with that. Maybe we need more of that, especially, you know, like you said, in the when they're siphoned, when people are being siphoned from high school to college, et cetera. But yes, I think that helping young women is very important. Although, interestingly, now in the United States, there's more women graduating from college than men. So, you know, a little bit like you said, we can't just make sweeping statements. We have to make sure we're not, the pendulum's not swinging way to one way or way to the other, but we're helping people have opportunities and achieve, you know, better outcomes, but without holding the outcome as part of the, you know, I don't know how to say it. You know, we can't just expect that everybody's going to have the same outcome. We have to give everybody the same opportunity.
Yeah. You know, and you make a good point, because 60% of women in companies have a master's. So they actually have a graduate degree. Yes. And still we see that, you know, that dynamic of men here at 75% have made it to the top, and women are kind of middle management, director level in these very matrix heavy large organizations. Or you have, you know, 1, 2, 3 women who sit in a seat or are on the board. But it's still, you know, the pendulum is still very off balance.
There, I would say, Anisa, you made the decision. What made you say, okay, I'm going to sacrifice that top level position for something different? What would you say that made it for you?
I think the biggest thing for me, anytime I've made any kind of significant growth in my life, I had to get outside of my comfort zone. And it was very uncomfortable to quit a very high paying job like that I had put in 10 years of my life at and was treated very well and, you know, supporting my family with. And I just decided that what was important to me more was my time. And I wanted to be in charge of my own time. I didn't want to have to check with somebody else in order to shuffle my schedule around, or I didn't want to have to be pinholed to a desk from, you know, between these hours when maybe on Tuesday my work was done by noon, but on Thursday I might have had to work a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Just things like that. And I also have always been a really hard worker because I was raised by a single mother who struggled right up until the day she passed away. And she always taught me that, you know what, it's okay to have a man in your life, providing he's good to you, but you don't ever need to depend on him. You always need to make sure that you are independent and self-sufficient, and not just for yourself, but for your children as well. And I have a very loving, amazing husband, and we are a beautiful family unit. But God forbid anything was to happen, I can take care of my children because of that. But what my mother also told me was go to school and get a job. So I think she kind of missed the boat on that one, because had she taught me to start a business and invest in real estate instead, things may have looked a little bit differently for me. Maybe not in the long run, because I still ended up doing that in the long run, but I may have had to take 3 rights instead of a left to get there. So I just think that, sometimes like you were saying earlier, we may have to just work a little bit harder or go a little bit farther. We can still get there, but the path may just look a little bit different for us.
Kudos to that. Look, 3 of us here are entrepreneurs, right? So that says a lot.
Yeah. And you were talking about opportunities, Maria. Speaking about opportunities, there's an opportunity coming up pretty soon, I guess, for what is it, Lindsay, on the 1st of October for Women Leadership Conference. Can you talk to us about that? Because like I said earlier today, there has been a lot of strides made to help women achieve greatness, achieve success, and help them, give them all the tools that they need to climb up the ladder, whatever that ladder is for them. And I know that you are with an organization that is doing just that. And there is a conference coming up where you basically are hosting women from all backgrounds, I believe, and all walks of life, and telling them, hey, these are the tools that you will need to become successful and move ahead in life. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your organization, and what is it that you're offering to attendees coming up October 1st?
Yeah, thank you. So at part of the Women's Edge, we invest in the future emerging woman leader. And so we have a signature leadership development program that companies from all over the world send participants. So they make an investment to sponsor 1, 2, 3, 4 of their rising stars, and they put them into our leadership development class called Strategies for Success. So I'm really excited to share that our next cohort launches on October 1st. It's fully virtual, but it is very, very engaging. There are 6 different speakers and facilitators who are subject matter experts. And what the women get is they learn everything from communication, executive presence, executive branding. They have an entire emotional intelligence 360 assessment that is completed. They complete, and then several members across their life, from a supervisor to colleagues and their partner, give them a well-rounded view of how they are perceived and what their leadership style is like and how they communicate. The women are paired with a mentor one-on-one through paired matching so it's a complement. And they also get to be a part of the Women's Edge at no additional cost for 2 years to be a member in our organization. So what I am encouraging companies to do is to make the investment in somebody you have your eye on, a woman you have your eye on, bring them into our program, because let me just tell you about the statistics of our program.
Yeah.
So over 1,600 women have participated. And through that, 95% of the graduates are retained and stay long-term at the company that's made that investment. They build trust with them. When they return to the organization, and this is a very quick 6-week program, 1 day a week, so it doesn't take a lot of their time away. When they go back, they are 85% more confident, and confidence in the workplace. So self-assurance to make critical decisions and be a strategic, valuable partner. And then finally, about 75% of the women end up being promoted at that same organization. So we have women who are in law firms who come back and are now promoted to partner. We have women who have been at very large healthcare systems who are in one role, and then 6 weeks, 8 weeks, a couple months later, they're promoted to a vice president over a region. So It is truly a program of distinction with great results. And I believe that everything we've talked about today starts with a seed of believing in somebody else's potential. And as companies and as leaders, we have the opportunity to say, yes, this person deserves to be invested in. I'm going to make that decision, send them into this program, and it's a win-win for all of us. So for more information, I'm happy to share. They can go directly to the womensedge.org or reach out to me on LinkedIn, and would love to share the value and get some women signed up to change their lives.
Yes, yes, I'm so happy that your organization is offering this. How about you, Anissa? There's some books or a book or something of that sort coming up also
Yeah.
that you're offering to help women become financially independent. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so basically through our program at Million Dollar Mom Society, we have an accelerator program that helps women in business just accelerate their businesses. But yes, I do have some book projects coming out. One of them is just about my life. It's called Fierce, Fearless, and 40 because I'm turning 40 next month, and it's just all about my journey and the challenges that I've overcome, and really letting women know that you can go through adversities and still come out on top. No matter what it is that you've been through, nothing needs to hold you back because the sky is not even the limit, you are. And so that is that book. And then I have an anthology book that I'm working on. It's called Thank God It's Monday. I think it's called it's very new. Sorry, Choosing to Create the Life You Love to Live. And I just onboarded 11 authors for that book to join me in writing 12 chapters, including myself, in this book. And the reason why it's called Thank God It's Monday is because when we're in corporate or we're working for a job, we dread Mondays. And when we're entrepreneurs and we have created the life that we love to live, we look forward to Monday because this is what we want to do. And it's all about our journeys and overcoming obstacles to take that leap. And anybody who would like to learn more, I invite you to connect with me. We also have a magazine launching on October 4th that we are super excited about. And that is just another platform for women in business, moms, just women in general, to get their voices heard if they would like to write an article, or, it's a global reach. So we are all about supporting and empowering other women, and we just want to see other women succeed.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Thank you so much. I know that probably someone might be watching us, a woman might be watching us and thinking, okay, well, maybe either this is time for me to become a business owner, dive on my own, and pursue my dreams, or I am after that position, that CEO position. What would you tell them? One at a time. Now, a message going to a lady who is looking or aiming for the highest position in her company, and that's for you, Lindse. And for you, Anissa, what would you tell her? This is, you are addressing these women. What would you tell her if she's on the fence, not sure, skeptical, and she has that burning desire to open and move forward with her idea and her business? You can go ahead and start, either one of you.
Okay, I'll go, and then Lindse, you can go ahead. Sorry. I would just say to her, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. And I'm a firm believer that we shape our destinies by our beliefs, particularly our beliefs within ourselves. So whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, you are absolutely correct. And if it is a dream of yours, please go after it. There are so many resources and opportunities. And if you just don't know what they are, connect with me. And if I don't have the answer for you, I guarantee you I know somebody who does.
I love that. I love the tree analogy. I took the biggest leap of faith in my life where I left a corporate job where I had 2 master's degrees, was making the most money I've ever made in my life in my early 30s. But still felt, I hate to use the word unhappy, but I was still unhappy. I felt as though I was trying to make everyone else pleased with my success. And I had to make a decision that frankly upset a lot of close people in my life because they questioned what in the world. But I will tell you, ever since I took that leap of faith, I have been closer and closer to a journey of internal peace, as well as being where I believe I'm supposed to end up. And it is a journey. And the first step is to go inward, to ask yourself, what is it you really want? Not what is it that everybody else wants for you that you have accepted. And then you have to, because I didn't have a bunch of money saved up and all these things. So not everybody can just put in a 30-day notice and pray and hope to God they're going to find another job. So figure out what it is you want to do. And then you have to have really a jump plan, which is about a 6-month jump plan. So if part of that is having a difficult conversation with a superior or somebody in your organization to see if you're ever even going to be close to reaching the job you think is your dream job, you need to know, are you on track to get to that position? And if you're not, you don't want to waste any time. And so you stay, you have a jump plan, you exit strategically, and then you start to surround yourself and hyper focus with the people and the resources and the opportunities around what you really do want to do. And you spend that time very wisely. And then you have to just make a critical decision. And the worst thing that happens is you try and you have to pivot, or you have to do something, maybe you take a part-time job while you're still working on this over here, but you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. I'm a millennial. So when you said your daughter was, a millennial, it resonated with me. These are all seasons of our life, and every season that we're in is shaping us to be stronger and better. I just close my eyes sometime and think about, where do I want to be in 10, 15 years? And what do I need to do to get there? And there isn't, the greatest advice I ever heard was that visionaries. So John C. Maxwell is an amazing leader and an author, and he talks about the wall. And so what I would leave you with is, if you can think like a visionary and you can dream, and that dream can have steps to execution, you see the wall as it doesn't exist. It's just an illusion. You don't have to break through it. You don't have to go around it or under it or climb over it. It's not really there. And start thinking about the wall as being non-existent, and you'll get where you want to go faster.
Amen to that. I like that, Lindsay. I like both answers. Bravo. And again, I am sure that someone, a lady outside of the United States, is listening to us and watching you right now, thinking, well, Lindsay, that's easy said than done in my country. Okay. Yeah, we live in one of the greatest countries in the world where opportunities are endless. You just have to make that decision and leap of faith and go after your dreams, and no one is going to stop you. But in other places, and this is to you, Maria, in other places it can be difficult. And I am going to end this session with probably asking you or addressing you, or you will. This is a quiz, Maria.
Uh-oh.
This is a quiz, Maria, and I'm going to refer back to this book that I'm reading and just connect it or relate it to what Lindse said. And this is a Japanese a lady woman who was working at this corporation for years, and she said, I was kept in the lowest position no matter how many years I worked, and I was really working hard, nothing happened. So there is a variation here or contrast between what Lindse said, being in a society where it's open field for anyone to become anything they want, and somebody living outside of the United States where they have obstacle and they're working so hard, but they're not getting anywhere. Maria, what do you tell them?
I would say that there's going to be different values in different cultures. There's going to be gender roles that might be more difficult to break in certain places, taboos. Unless there's a societal change, those are a little more difficult to overcome. However, I can tell you that pivoting, just like you said, Lindse, pivoting is essential. I found that here in Mexico, where everything is driven more by relationships, you know, you have to get to know people, you have to invest in you know, breaking the ice, etc., which is a little different than how I would go about things in the US. But I totally subscribe to what these two wonderful women say. It all starts with a mindset. So kudos to both of you. You have actually inspired me, because I'm kind of like looking into doing a little pivot myself in my own career. So thank you for those inspiring words. They have really resonated with me.
Absolutely. I am immensely thankful and grateful for your time, both of you. And before I say goodbye, are there any final thoughts you would like to share with the audience?
Let's go, ladies.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just grateful to be here, and I love that technology allows us to have this global reach. I'm so grateful that you've created Global Women of Impact to help someone like me who's from Kentucky, now living in Florida, understand the importance of different cultures. And, you know, I think the biggest thing is, you know, you started the conversation with, you know, life is really about being on stage and being in this play. There's nothing saying you are an actor only in the one play.
Yeah.
So no matter where it is you live, or the family you're attached to, or the ethnicity that you have, you know, society is always going to try to create these normalcies that we do not have to accept.
Yes.
And we, by believing in the power of things like technology, if I was in a place where I, you know, maybe I couldn't get out of a situation, it was a rough situation personally or professionally, I would find every opportunity I could to get on a computer when I had privacy, to find a safe group with strong women like this, to start to figure out my jump plan, because everybody around the world can have a personal jump plan. And so I want to encourage anybody who's in a place of loneliness, financial disparity, they're in a marginalized community, they don't have the same resources, and maybe they just are just scared, they're just paralyzed. Start with connecting with women online, and find somebody who has been in a similar situation, who can, again, it's all about planting the seed to help somebody else make it. So I'm one of those people committed to doing that. I've had people in my life that have done that for me. And I just don't want anybody to ever feel like they're stuck, because there's always ways to find support. And, you know, it is about thriving. Everybody is worthy of that. And doesn't matter where you come from, how much education you have, what you look like, you can do it. And so I want to just leave with that you are worthy. And there are organizations out there that will support you and use technology to your advantage.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else? Or I just end with saying thank you so much. This conversation has been informative and inspiring as well. And I do know that there will be several people watching this, and I'm sure they will be inspired. And if you have any questions, like Lindse is running a phenomenal leadership workshop or program starting on October 1st. Please reach out to her. If you are a manager, CEO, anyone who is looking to invest in a woman, please reach out to Lindse. If you are looking to start your business, connect with Anisa. Reach out to us at the Global Women of Impact as well. We're here to make a difference. We're here to create that impact, and we're here to contribute to the betterment of not just our local communities, but mankind. So feel free to reach out. Every one of us here is ready, willing to assist. Like Anisa said, if we don't know, we are going to look for that person that knows how to help you. With that being said, thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.